This is my review on Fake Dates and Mooncakes by Cher Lee. I finished this book about like a week ago, and honestly this has taken me like a lot of attempts to record. So hopefully I get it on this try. Fake Dates and Mooncakes is a romance book. It's about 260 or so pages, super easy to digest. That was what I really took away from this book, was that like the plot was super simple but still had enough kind of like details and character development and all that good stuff in the book. It had enough of that to where it was still interesting to read, but it was simple enough to where I could still follow it really easily as someone who's getting back into reading myself. So we follow our main character, Dylan, who is basically trying to win this mooncake festival for his aunt, just so he can have the money. I won't say much more than that for that. And then Dylan falls for this guy named Theo, who ends up actually being a very interesting character. I have my thoughts that I'll get into, but I thought that Theo and Dylan were really good for each other. Their personalities really mixed well and had like their moments when they were super different, but yet they came together because they have very similar backstories and upbringings. But overall, definitely would recommend this. It's super good. It's like Heartstoppers meets Crazy Rich Asians, so I thought that was like a really good way to word it. I saw that review online. I was like, oh, after reading it, I was like, yeah, I definitely see where that comes from. I did watch a few reviews on the book as well, just to kind of make sure I wasn't going insane with a few of my points, but the side characters sometimes were a little bit flat. I will agree on that. But I don't know, like I said earlier, that kind of helped to like make the main story and our main characters kind of stand out a lot more. I liked the details that were put into the side characters and the side stuff that they had going on. But yeah, they did fall flat. Sometimes it was kind of like, okay, like the side character, who are they? What's their story? Like that. Sometimes I was just kind of like wondering more about what could have been going on with this character. But overall, too, they definitely had, everyone had their moments in the story, whether it was Dylan, Theo, Aunt Jade, Malcolm, like they all definitely had some kind of moment in the story for me that really stood out and then was like, this is how this character is. Like with Dylan, in the flooding scene towards the end of the book, he, we definitely could tell that he cares more about his family and his aunt and his cousins, considering that his mom passed away and his dad isn't really in his life anymore. And considering his grandparents are also in Singapore too. So, and the story takes place in Brooklyn. So that definitely made things a lot more relatable for me too, knowing that like his family is like all over the place, he doesn't know his mom in his life, like all this stuff that can definitely be super relatable for a lot of people. And then the fact that later in the book too, we figure out that Theo had the same similar kind of thing happen. Like these two main characters both don't have their moms in their life anymore, which I think is like really touching that we find that out through the scene that we do, which if you haven't read the book yet, read the book, because I like that scene. It was super relatable. The 5K loan in exchange for Dylan being invited to the wedding, I don't know. Like, I thought that was super... One thing that I've never really gotten behind in any kind of book, story, anything is like, okay, cool, I'm gonna pay you like this X amount of money to do this, for this, and then like in exchange you have to do this thing for me. Like, no, I would rather be offered the incentive to do this rather than just being given it, and then almost like this expectation to do this thing for you. Like, that's not realistic for me personally. And then the whole like lying about Theo's dad to get back at him, because he wasn't even invited to the wedding either. That's where I would have drawn the line. I'm like, okay, cool. Like it's one thing to like invite me as your fake date, to this wedding so that way your family doesn't set you up with someone else. But like the fact that you weren't even invited to this wedding, already just major red flags. That's where I kind of was very about Theo. Like I had my moments where I was just like, what is this man's intentions? Like Dylan was already having a lot of like questionable feelings about it in the first place. Like, does Theo want more out of this? Does he want something more out of like this whole fake date situation? Like I had similar feelings. The breakup scene. The breakup scene was definitely relatable, to say the least, and it was super touching. Just knowing the way that it went down, that like Dylan was also doing this mainly for his aunt, and so like the takeout wouldn't be like shut down or anything like that because Malcolm threatened that. Like he threatened the boys, and then he also threatened the takeout spot, which I thought was like, wow. Like you think that Dylan is going after Theo for his money, but then you also then think that, oh no, it's for the name. Like just talk to him about it. Like I don't know. Communication is a big thing that obviously creates a lot of these conflicts in romance novels, which gives us the story that we want, but like as a person, it makes me frustrated. Really frustrated. The ending was super, I don't know. It was definitely very cliche. That whole like we've lost hope, but then our prince in shining armor like comes out of nowhere and swoops in and saves the day. Like I thought that obviously I get it, super cliche, but I tend to fall for those kind of romance tropes, and I thought that it was super sweet how Theo went all the way to Singapore to get those ingredients that they needed for the mooncakes, and then also visited his grandparents. Like it was all super sweet and super touching. And then at the end, when he ended up winning, like I think what touched me the most was at the end of the book when Dylan and Theo are going for a walk, and he describes the new photo wall because they used to have one at their old takeout spot, the first one, but then in the new takeout spot at the end of the book that they like upgraded it and added more photos, like the one with everyone at the end of the competition, the one with Theo and Dylan's grandparents in Singapore. Like they updated it, and like Theo was properly like a part of their family now, which I thought was like really, really sweet. I liked that this wasn't like a traditional coming out story where the focus was like the main character or someone else coming out, or they liked someone, but who knows if they're like the right sexuality and whatnot. Like I thought that it was really refreshing to not have to go through that, like another story that's like that. Maybe it's just the kind of movies that I see too, but like a lot of movies I see like that, it's like that's the whole plot line and the story, and then it's just very repetitive of like, okay, we get it, the overthinking stages, the crushes on people who don't align with you. Like it's relatable for a lot of people, but for some people like myself, it just doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really work like that. And like I said, the story was really easy to digest as well. It was about 260 something pages. It was very sweet. The chapters did not go on for too long. Like, I think the longest chapter that I maybe read from the audiobook was maybe like 20 something minutes. Overall, for the rating, I would probably have to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I know, again, I'm still learning my reading style and everything, what I prefer, what I like. And I think this is the only book by Cher Lee, and I think it was actually published last year. So, I mean, I'm hoping, obviously, like a lot of people, I'm hoping there's another one that comes out, like a sequel. That's the right word, right? Basically following Dylan and Theo, maybe like Theo going to law school and pursuing in college, or something like that. Like I think it'd be super cool to get a second book, but obviously I'm not gonna get my hopes up. It would just be nice. But this was definitely a nice refresher. Well, I haven't been able to watch Heartstopper, and I've been purposely not watching it because I've been wanting to not be spoiled for season 3, but this isn't about Heartstopper. This is about fake dates. So yeah, if you did enjoy book content, I'm trying to expand my horizon with different content. I have some bullet journaling stuff coming out. But that's about all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the book content. If you have any book suggestions, leave me comments down below on books that you recommend that I read, or if you also have questions about the book, I can probably answer them. But yeah, if you want to check out another video by me, you can click right up here, and I will see you guys next week for another video.